Well, it is my pleasure to be joined by John Poveromo today, comedian, actor, writer, cartoonist. John, thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be here.
We had a good time at the Garden State Film Festival down in Asbury Park. It was a crowded room, and of course, with the pandemic, we didn't have that this year. But you know what I didn't know about you is that you have a cartooning background. Tell me about that.
You know what? It's crazy. I love to draw. The two things I wanted to be when I was a kid were either a cartoonist or a comedian. So I had no real intention of making any money. Well,
join the TV business, and you can try that one out. So
that vest looks pretty expensive. Don't lie to me, man. That's a Jack Hanna original, isn't it?
This is my weekend work. I'm working down at Turtleback Zoo. I gotta, pay the beer money. So.
Oh, I hear you, man. I hear you. But yeah, so I wanted to do those two things, and I really thought for some reason cartooning would be way more profitable. So I've drawn cartoons for like most of my life, and then stopped for a little bit. And then, but once I started doing stand-up and going out on the road regularly, there's not a whole lot you could do in a hotel room by yourself. You know what I mean? Like,
well, so, that doesn't get you into trouble,
That doesn't get me in any trouble. Yeah, exactly. Right. And I wound up kind of just getting back into drawing again. And I would just draw cartoons of either bits that I thought would work well in cartoon form that I'd done on stage, or ones that maybe didn't work so well in front of an audience, but worked better visually. And then I like, following politics and stuff like that too. So it kind of helps me exercise that level of creativity. I like to have a lot of different tools in my bag when I'm working with stuff. So
I have to ask the obvious question about influences. I mean, if you're talking about cartooning, were you turned on by comics? Was it newspaper, comic strips? Like what was inspirational?
In high school, man, big Gary Larson fan, Far Side, Berkeley Breathes, Bloom County, Calvin and Hobbes, Peanuts, and Garfield too. I loved Garfield when I was a kid. It's crazy, as I always feel like you find like obviously, Garfield's a great comic strip, is one of the most recognized characters ever. But it was kind of like a gateway drug for me as a kid, because it's not very political, it's not very heavy-handed, not a lot of satire too, but comedically it's a very funny, visual strip.
Sure.
So I got into that, and it was kind of a gateway drug into like other cartoonists and stuff, and same thing with Peanuts. And then, but Gary Larson, Berke breathed for Opus and Bloom County and stuff, and Calvin and Hobbes are my favorites.
Let's focus on your comedy, because you've certainly traveled around and been paying a lot of dues and getting some notice. Tell me about being on John Fugelsang's show.
I was always a huge fan of his too, politically. Like he's a great political comic, super funny guy.
Yeah.
Has hosted or been a part of everything, even as I think he was a VH1, I think he was a VJ for a while. Mm-hmm. And I remember even watching him do that when I was a kid too. So now to be on his show as a panel, I've been on for almost 2 years now.
Wow. Like
once a month or twice a month or whatever, is huge to me. It's still kind of a big deal, even though I try not to make it sound like it. But in my head, most of the time, I'm like, holy, I'm on Fugelsang's show. It's crazy. And he's super smart, super fast, and he keeps me on my toes and really kind of helps me sharpen. Like when I go on there, I have to be prepared. So it makes you really, really, I mean, I'm pretty politically aware and active, and you've seen my Facebook page lately, but it's obnoxious. But it helps. Yeah. It helps when I'm on shows like that, because you have to be fast when you're on with him.
I want you to give me a big download about what you're doing with your comedy. Now, obviously, pandemic has affected this, playing rooms live and such, but give me a little history, please, and then tell me what the future looks like.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm not doing, I'm not going out doing shows or anything like that. I don't plan on having a spread the virus tour or anything like that, like most of these guys are doing. Yeah. I've been doing a lot of podcasts, a lot of interviews, a lot of stuff. I'm actually going to be doing my own podcast soon. It'll be on Monday nights and Thursday nights, called Dystopia Tonight.
Perfect.
And it will kind of cover everything that we fear, I think, or whatever. And just this stuff. It'll just be a lot of talking. Another guy just talking to a camera. But I haven't done any Zoom shows yet. I don't want to do stand-up without an audience the way I think it should be done. So for right now, I'm focusing on writing doing interviews, podcasts, stuff like that, drawing, and I have other projects going on.
This is great having you on, and I'm thrilled you took time to join us.
Thanks for having me, man. I enjoyed it a lot.
Great to see you. Take care, John.
You too, man. Bye-bye.